Hello and welcome to What Did She Say? I am your host, Chrissy, and I just want to say thank you for being here. We're back. We're back and we're doing this properly. I love this for you. I love this for me. It's good to be back. It's good to be back on a roll. This is now me recording my third episode, and my first comeback episode was just published yesterday. And before we start and we get into this episode, I feel like I've said episode like 20 times already in like the last 45 seconds. I would like to thank you so much for all the support, all the kind messages I've received thus far. And it's literally just like, the video's only had like 44 views. The Spotify has only streamed once, but it just warms my heart so much to see people like support and love the content that I put out there. When you put yourself out there, like, and this is my whole personality, I'm literally selling my personality here. I'm giving it to you raw, explicit, slightly edited, and I'll just take out the bits of me like breathing too deeply, right? And to just get such great feedback and love and kindness, it means a lot. It means a lot. So yeah, I just don't want to start this without saying thank you so much. I was kind of anxious putting out my first video. I haven't posted in the last like 6 or 7 months. So putting out that video, I was like, have people forgotten about me? Do people not care? But do you know what? It's been really nice, and I'm so grateful to all my friends, my family, and everyone in between who's just watched, encouraged, and yeah, thank you. Okay, before I get into this as well, I just want to give a little life update because why not? My Egypt trip is coming very soon. It's literally right around the corner, and I'm actually really excited for that trip to come around. I feel like there's going to be so many story times that I'm going to be able to come back here and share. I'm going to be in Egypt for 3 weeks, God willing, and yeah, so expect a whole episode about Egypt. On Monday, guys, I did something really cool I want to share with you. If you have me on Instagram, you will know already that on Monday, I actually recorded a roundtable talk with an incredible Christian-derived production company. They have a really big YouTube channel where they give the spotlight to UK-based creative artists. And yeah, it's a bit like, it was incredible. It was incredible. It was a lot bigger than I expected. Very bougie, very nice, just like literally something I've never experienced in my life. And I think for me, it was just realizing that I was invited to share my opinion. They were recording an episode on toxic femininity, and they literally just asked me to come and share my perspective. And that's such a blessing, and I'm very grateful for it. All the content that I took on the day, behind the scenes stuff, is on my Instagram if you want to go have a look. But I actually can't talk or share too much about it until the episode is released, which will probably be at the end of this year apparently, so just stay tuned for that. Enough about Monday's expedition. Let's get into this episode. Now, you're probably thinking, Chrissy, what's going on? You said you weren't going to talk about your Spain trip. You said you weren't going to make a whole episode about your Spain trip. You said. What, am I a liar? Are you calling me a liar? Yes, I am. And don't believe me, I'm a true liar. Let me tell you something, yeah? I was watching back my episode yesterday, the welcome back to my comeback, and I went on like for about 10 minutes, I think, all about Spain. And honestly, I was listening back to it and I was laughing out loud. I was like, this is pure entertainment. And I just kept on thinking about more stories and more hilarious things that happened on that trip. And I just thought, this is content gold. Why wouldn't I share it with the world? And I want you to know that this is not an expose episode. This is not an episode made out of anger or hate or disgust. Nah, brother. I don't care like that anymore. This is simply for entertainment purposes. And for legal reasons, I'm just going to say, anything that I talk about in terms of statistics, numbers, other human beings other than myself, I may slightly tweak those things. Not intentionally. It's because this brain right here does not retain a lot of things, okay? I have really poor memory and I don't remember a lot of things. So just for legal purposes, in case this gets me into a bit of a kerfuffle, not everything in the story is going to be 100% true. Except for my except for the things I saw with my own eyes. You know what I mean? What I'm trying to tell you is numbers, certain little details might not be 100% correct, and that's literally just because of my memory. And I just thought that's really, 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 really important to say, because at the end of the day, there are so many people involved in this story, and they might have different perspectives or, you know, memory to what I'm talking about, you know? I think at the end of the day, like, everything is subjective, and the way that I viewed things at that camp is going to be maybe really different to the way someone else did. But anyways, I just want you to take this episode as, honestly, take it as entertainment. Don't take it as, oh, I need to go fight the good cause. Brother, it's not that deep anymore, okay? Just take this as a very fun story time that has some crazy, crazy twists, okay? Cool. So, if you did watch my Welcome to My Comeback episode, I'm going to try not repeat myself too much, but unfortunately there might be some things that I might have to repeat just for like credibility reasons. I'm joking, not for credibility. That's not even the word I'm trying to look for. Continuity. Do you know how hard it is when there's a word right here, the tip of your tongue, and you can't get it out? Continuity. Is that the word I'm looking for? I think I need to repeat some things for continuity, okay? So just bear with. So, I signed myself up for a English-speaking camp in Spain. And I was sold on the basis that I was going to be teaching English to Spanish children. Now, for a little bit more context, I spent 2 months in Bali teaching English to Balinesian children, and that was incredible. So I thought this was going to kind of be the same thing, but even tougher, because when I applied for this Spain camp, very soon after I got accepted, I had a video call conversation with the camp director. And he basically gave me the honest truth, or so I thought. He told me the days at camp are long, they're tiresome, but it's very much worth it if you love children. If you're passionate about education, if you're passionate about childcare, you will love it. But they're long days. Your day starts from 8 a.m. and we usually wrap it up around 11 p.m. I was a little bit stunned, because you know me, I'm a soft life babe. I don't like working hard. But you know what? I said, but sometimes, and only sometimes, I like to push myself a little bit, you know? And I just thought of it like this. It's a 3-week experience. Camp is running from Monday to Friday. I'm going to get the weekends off. So technically, I'm only working about 15 days. There's only 15 days of hard work. It'll be good for my physical, see how far I can push myself. And why not? Like, let's work hard. And if at the end of the day, I'm able to create incredible bonds with children and I'm able to offer them an incredible time, why not? Now, before we go any further, I am not going to use anyone's real name, just because I don't feel the need to. I will be, however, using their code names. I'll be using I forgot the other word. I hate how much I forget words. It's so annoying, especially like with my profession. I'm going to be using their made-up names. The director of the camp, his name is Tooth Fairy. I'm going to try and not tell you the reasons behind everyone's names, and you're just going to have to charge it. But Tooth Fairy, I already did say it. In the last episode, I did already kind of tell you why his name is Tooth Fairy. It's because he had like 7 missing teeth. So, you know, every time I hear myself say that in the episode, I start laughing out loud, because why did I just say that? Why did I do that? But okay, Ma'alina. So, his name is Tooth Fairy just due to irony. Because you have no teeth, your name is Tooth Fairy, okay? Tooth Fairy is the director of the camp. Now, I want to try explain the situation, this story time, in a very chronological, in a very, easy way to understand, a linear procedure. But I don't know if I will be able to do that. So, Spain is right around the corner. I'm panicking, okay? I cannot believe that I'm literally just about to turn up to Spain. I know no one, I know nothing. I'm just going to go to Spain and for 3 weeks, what am I going to do? But I've done this before, right? So I was like, F it, let's go, okay? I did actually have to pay for my flights. So this was a volunteer program. I was volunteering my time, but I did have to pay for my flights, which, by the way, if you think about it, that's crazy. Like, brother, I'm giving you free labor and I'm paying for my flights. Okay, cool. In the moment, I just thought, you know what? Like, the flight's going to be max, like £120. It's just Spain. Like, I'm paying for an experience. It's cool. So I did it. How did I apply? I applied through a company called GoToCo. GoToCo essentially are a education TEFL giving company, blah, blah, blah. I went to Bali with them. I applied through their website, and even the way they advertised this camp was so far from the truth. They told us we'll be staying in Salamanca. Broskies, we stayed an hour away from Salamanca. So Salamanca itself doesn't even have an airport. You had to get a plane from wherever you are to Madrid, and then from Madrid you take a bus to Salamanca, and from Salamanca you take another bus to Guijuelo, which is where we were staying. We were staying in an area called Guijuelo, right? So think about it, we're like over 2 hours away from Madrid, but we were told we were staying in Salamanca. Again, not true. I just feel like this is important so that you understand like the deception that just started right from the beginning. It sounds like a non-issue, but when you put everything together, it becomes a bit of an issue. When I arrived to Madrid, I am panicking because all the other GoToCoers, I'm just going to say there were 12 of us. I actually can't remember, but let's say there were 12 of us. There were 12 people coming from the UK to Spain to volunteer in this camp. Now, everyone was supposed to arrive at a particular time in Madrid and meet up at the airport to be picked up. This bus was going to take us all the way from Madrid to Guijuelo, where we were staying at the campsite, okay? I'm not going to lie. I had to look at the group chat when it was created, and I was scared. First of all, I was the only person of colour. Usually that doesn't really, make a big difference in my life, but no, that's a lie. It does. It always does. I was born and raised in West London. I'm kind of always surrounded by my people. So that did make me feel away. They also all look like super young. I just remember saying to my cousin before I left, I literally remember saying to her, bestie, I am not going to make any friends. Like, I know that for a fact. I'm not going to have any boys. I'm not going to make any friends. Like, I just know that these people don't look like my people. And she was like, no, that's not true. Like, I was like, nah, I know myself, okay? And that was just off my first impressions from the group chat, from the way people were messaging, from their DPs. And I know, thou shalt not judge, but I judged, okay? So now, I have arrived to the airport about 3 hours before meeting time. And I'm not going to lie, I opened the group chat when I arrived to Madrid. I got an eSIM, by the way, so that I always had data. People already were at the airport. And I was like, not going to lie, I'm about to spend 3 weeks with these people. I need some alone time. So I think I just crouched in the airport for like 2 hours by myself. I was just watching something. I was just on the internet, browsing, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then came the time. I was panicking. I'm not going to lie. Picked up my luggage and I started rolling down the airport looking for these men. And I arrive and I see a bunch of people sitting on the floor with backpacks all over. Can I just understand something? Why was I the only one with a decent amount of luggage? There were people, guys, literally with just backpacks. Are you telling me you have come on a 3-week trip with a backpack? You're nasty. You cannot convince me that's okay. I am the normal one here, not you. Can I just say something as well? So I'm just kind of jumping the gun a little bit, but I'm going to say something because I am the normal one, not you. Okay? When I saw what other people had brought, or should I say the lack of things people brought, I thought for a minute, am I the problem? I am the normal one. Sorry, I'm just trying to like give some self-love because the way the way I was being gaslit into thinking I was the problem is insane. So yeah, the backpacks really threw me off, guys. But you know what? I didn't let that affect the way I spoke to the people. I came in, hi guys, I'm Chrissy. Nice to meet you all. Everyone seemed nice enough. We were just yapping a little bit. People went to go get drinks or whatnot. There was one lovely girl. I don't know I never gave her a nickname, so I don't know what to call her, but let's just call her Lovely Girl. Lovely Girl. There was one lovely girl that I met right at the beginning. We went to the shops and it was really nice. Like, she was really nice. She was actually, I think, 21. She was still in uni. But to be fair, like towards the end of the trip, especially, like me and her got really close. We just understood things differently to the others. I'm having like really interesting breathing right now, like anxiety breathing that I get sometimes, because I haven't thought too much about this situation since. So I think I'm just trying to process my emotions, and we're just right at the beginning. So okay, so I meet this lovely girl in the airport. We're yapping a little bit, getting to know each other, but because she seemed so young, I didn't think we were going to get along too well, but actually she ended up being one of my closest friends on the camp. And then our cabs came. And at that time, I started talking to a young man. Let's call him Qualified. Now, the reason why I call him Qualified is because literally it was really funny. It's just kind of like an inside joke. But every time I would say something like, oh, let's go on the kayak, he'd be like, I'm qualified. Oh, let's do CPR. Oh, I'm qualified. Like, apparently this guy, he was like only 21 as well. Apparently he was qualified to do everything and everything. So that's why I'm just going to call him Qualified for now, because I don't even want to use his name, even though we became really best of friendos. But I don't want to use his name just because, I don't know, he's still got quite good ties with this company. Not Go To Co, the camp company, which is called Interway. Yeah, naming and shaming baby. So I don't really want to, I don't want to mess up his shtick. So, Qualified. As we're walking to the cars, me and Qualified start talking, and he says to me, girl, I saw your DP and I knew you were a baddie. I knew you were a baddie, and I know that we're going to be best friends. And I just thought, yeah, I'm sold. I am sold. Now, Qualified was the last person I would ever think I would be best friends with. Firstly, because he's a man. And secondly, like, he's literally like, do you know, I'm not going to go further because I know you man are going to try to twist it. I know you man are going to try to twist it and call me homophobic because that's already happened. But basically, he was just a gay white man. And you would just not think I would best friend a gay white man. Not because he's gay, because he's a white man. But he became bestie. Me and Qualified, okay? I said I wasn't going to say it, but I said it. So, 2-hour drive. In this 2-hour drive, I'm just yapping away with the girls that were sitting next to me. Nothing really to write home about, but it started raining. It was raining, it was pouring, the old man was snoring, the weather was not giving. And I'm not gonna lie, I think for the first 4 or 5 days, it rained every day in Spain. And it wasn't it. It was not cute. Something worth mentioning. We arrived in Spain on the Friday night. And we had training Saturday and Sunday, and then the kids would arrive on the Monday. The training we endured consisted of sitting at a table for hours on end, just being spoken at. Honestly, I can't really say there was much value to what was being spoken of, to the point where the British lot were crashing the F out. They were like, what is this BS? Like, this is not training on how to run a camp for children. There was a lot of, I think, discussion and debate about the way that the Spanish people run a camp. It's very different in terms of like safeguarding rules and just things that we kind of learn in education and childcare in the UK. And it ruffled a lot of feathers. So another one of our characters that I'm going to introduce is one called Senior. And the reason why we call her Senior is because she called herself Senior, I think, initially, because she was the eldest there at the camp. I think she was like 28 and she had done like 400 camps. Apparently, she was like the camp CEO. She had done Camp America. She does like NCS and whatnot. Like, so once she kind of said, I'm the Senior, we kind of just called her Senior to continue life with. So Senior, she was, I'm not going to lie, super jarring, just because she was so kind of arrogant and pompous with most of what she did and said. But I don't know, she was calm with me at the beginning. So I just kind of like, I don't really care. Like, you do, like, if you want to be the queen, be the queen. I don't really care, right? And another one was called Bite Size. We called her Bite Size because she was just really small. Like, that's literally the only reason why we called her Bite Size. Okay. Now, Bite Size and Senior were, of course, okay, guys, by the way, everyone hearing this story is white. Okay? They are white people. The arrogance they showed in terms of British colonialism superiority was in abundance. It pissed off everyone. It pissed off the Spanish people. It pissed off the normal English people. It just pissed everyone off because they just kept on interjecting and just kind of being like a bit prickish about the things that were being spoken about during the induction. And it came to a point where I literally had to go to Bite Size and I was just like, listen, you need to understand something. Like, a lot of the time with people outside of Britain, it's more work on the job type of thing. Like, I don't know, maybe because I'm Egyptian, I just know that, especially with Egyptians, we don't talk too much. We just kind of do. We're more doers than we are talkers. And I know in the UK, we love to talk. We love to explain things. Like, bit by bit, we love to talk. But sometimes, like, you just got to kind of work on the job for things to just happen. So when Bite Size was crashing out, I did actually just calm her down. She was crying. She was like literally just going to like jump into the river. I said, just calm down. Everything will be fine. You have worked with kids before. You'll be fine. you know? So do you remember when I mentioned that I had a phone call interview with Tooth Fairy? Everyone should have had that. But I would like to understand now why, when people were doing the induction, I kept on hearing the term, this is not what I signed up for. People were really confused by the long hours, by the expectations, and by the job role of what we were going to do. A lot of people were crashing out. And again, I was like, guys, I'm not going to lie. You kind of did sign up for this. You know, you signed up for hard work. You signed up for gruel, right? So that was an ongoing saying. And basically, by the Saturday night, guys, one of the girls left. One of the girls literally called her parents and she was like, this is not what I signed up for. And she left. And I'm not going to lie, go you for being in a space that is not made for you and just leaving before it's too late. And yeah, she left Sunday morning, she was gone. And we called that Brexit. She was the first of our Brexiters. Anytime someone left, we called it Brexit. Okay? She Brexited. So that was training. I think you're going to want to know where we lived, where we slept, where we breathed, where we ate. So it was a big campsite. And the campsite was named Guijo, okay? Guijo in Guijuelo. It was in the middle of nowhere. There was no public transport. There was literally nothing. There was nothing within the vicinity. I think if you walked up the hill, you would find a very, very, very tiny village, about a 20-minute walk out. And there was nothing. There was no shops. Like literally, if you wanted to go to the shop, the closest shop was about a 10-minute drive away. None of us had cars. So we were really depending on the help from our camp leaders. Now, again, something really important, just to continue with our deception that was given. When I spoke to Tooth Fairy on the phone during our video interview, he told me that on the weekends, we would be given a car. We would have a car available to us with a driver who would take us around. He said, we've got planned activities for you to show you the city, to take you to Salamanca. This is what we're going to do for you. Like he really explained how much fun it was going to be on the weekends. That was further than the truth. But anyways, I'm jumping the gun. We stayed in cabins on the campsite. Now, those cabins, apparently we were told we were going to change every 5 days because the campsite owners needed to move us around to accommodate to the children that were coming. The children who were coming to camp were staying for 5 days. They would come on a Monday and they would leave on the Friday. So we were actually only supposed to see in our 3 weeks there 3 different types of schools. And every time a school left, we would move cabins. So for example, in week 1, if I was in cabin 3, in week 2, I would be in cabin 9. By week 3, I'd be in cabin 12. So the definition of the ghetto, I'm literally living out my suitcase at this point, because what's the point in unpacking? It was so inconvenient. And I'm telling you, every time I tried to question why this was happening, no one gave me a solid answer, because even the answer I just gave you is not solid and doesn't make any sense. And that's kind of something that just remained a theme within this institution. Every time you try query something so dumb that was being forced upon you, you would never get a solid answer. And that's why I call this camp cult, because only in cults is where you don't get solid answers. Only in cults are you kind of just forced to listen and obey like a prick, you know? So that was my life. So we were staying in cabins. I did ask during my interview, because I came with the questions, right? Are the cabins going to be single sex cabins or mixed? He said to me, potentially mixed. I said, that's crazy. He said, yeah, we're going to try. Like, if you really need a single sex cabin, let me know, but it might not work out. So best believe I made sure that everything I packed, everything I did, everything I prepared for was in preparation to be in a cabin with men, which, yes, scared the absolute crap out of me. But again, I just said, let's see how far I can go. Let's see how far I can push my boundaries, okay? Because this was all about just kind of like seeing how far I can do things, you know? But thank God there were so many more women volunteers than there were men. Also, it's worth mentioning that there weren't just volunteers running this camp. There were also paid Spanish natives who came to run the camp with us. Now, I think there was about 5. So let's say there was 12 English volunteers and about 5 native working Spanish people doing the exact same job as us, but they're being paid. They also stayed in the cabins with us. I think there was about 8 women in the cabin, the first cabin that I was in. All of them were bunk beds. All of the beds, sorry, were bunk beds. They're all wooden cabins, by the way. All wooden cabins, had so much dust in them. I was so congested. Every single morning, every single night, I go to sleep and I wake up so congested, so unwell, simply due to the amount of dust that lingers in the air. You can literally see it everywhere. The beds themselves were so old, broken, brittle, disgusting, awful, squeaky. For some reason, I kept on getting the last straw and I kept on getting the top bunk as well. They had no stairs. So I'm trying to do acrobatics every single day to get on and off of my bed with no stairs. Imagine getting on a bunk bed with no stairs. On the first night, I was given a pillow that was like paper thin. I woke up with a broken neck. I'm not joking. I was in so much pain. It would get so cold during the night, and the blankets were not it. I can't confirm that those thick blankets that we were offered were even cleaned or washed. So I would literally just use my plain blanket because I was not going to touch that. So, and it was also one bathroom for 8 women, which just made things so difficult, because you're just trying to rush in and out of the toilet. It was so ghetto, okay? It came to a point where, because we had to wake up the kids at 8:30, we had to be ready at 8:30. I would basically, in the morning, to be strategic, I would take all my stuff and go to the public toilets in the middle of the campsite to get ready in peace so that I don't have someone banging down the door telling me to hurry up. I'd literally wake up, take my toiletries and go to the public toilet to wash my face, get ready for the morning, play my music. I'd literally play worship music in the morning to like mentally prepare for what I was about to do. And just like calm me down and just get to a place of zen, So that was my life. Week 1, I shared that cabin with about 8 women. By week 2, we ended up moving to a bigger cabin, which actually housed all the female monitors, which there were 12 of us. And if you saw the state of these cabins, I'm someone with crippling OCD. I don't know. I honestly think God put me into those situations to see I don't know. But it was crazy. Every single one of those women had it was an absolute mess. You would not think these are women, right? The 12 cabin room was insane. The mess was insane. There was one girl who would literally just leave her underwear flung across the floor. I literally would see boot marks on her thong. She'd pick it up and wear it the next day. I'm joking. I don't actually know if she'll wear it, but there's literally boot marks on your thong. That is crazy. But yeah, people are really, 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 really messy. And I had to live amongst that. But you know what? I did it. Somehow I did it. By the grace of God, I did it. So that was the living arrangement. That was the living situation. Which, if you ask me, I just think is such a piss take. Because you have brought us here as volunteers. The least you can do is give us some decent accommodation. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the very least. But you're flinging us into these dirty, stinking cabins that are overcrowded, that are disgusting, and you still expect 1,000,000% from us. I think it's insane. Now, what we were expected to do at the camp, we were camp monitors. So there was Tooth Fairy, there was the coordinators. I think there was about 4 of them because then we were split up into 4 different groups, and then there were camp monitors, right? Within week 1, my camp monitor, let's just say incompetent is a kind word. He had no idea what he was doing. He had no people skills. He had no management skills. And essentially, I was the one telling him what to do. I was the one telling him how to manage his team and how to offer appropriate childcare. Which, by the way, I wasn't too mad about, because really and truly, if I'm getting my way, I'm not mad. Like, I would just say to him, brother, you need to do this, you need to do that. By the way, his name is, let's call him Bruno, because he looked like, we don't talk about Bruno, no. Let's call him Bruno, okay? Bruno had no idea what he was doing. To be fair, this was the first time he was ever a coordinator, but he had like no guidance, no help, no nothing, okay? So within the first couple of days, I think Tooth Fairy quickly saw the way that I was managing that team, and he came to me and he was like, I want to make you a coordinator. I want you to be a coordinator, but I can't do that because I would need to pay you, and I can't pay you because you've come as a volunteer. Now, obviously I was gassed in the moment because I was like, this is me, what can I say? But I was like to him, listen, I'm not going to lie, I don't have interest in being a coordinator because that just seems like a lot of work that I don't want to do. I'm just really okay kind of doing my thing, having fun with the kids, because a coordinator would not have their own cabin. As a camp monitor, you look after your own cabin of children. You know, you wake them up, you put them to sleep, you make sure that you get their medication, you make sure this, you make sure that. Like, you look after one specific cabin, and then you also, right, depending on the school you're looking after, you kind of lead different groups and activities, and you get to do the activities with them. So it's actually really immersive and fun. It's just a lot of work, right? And as a coordinator, you don't get to do that. You're really just kind of going around the whole day, making sure the camp monitors are doing their job, and you're not really integrating too much with the kids. Now, again, that just feels like a lot of admin work that I don't want to do. So I was like to him, listen, if you really, really, really need me, I'll do it. And I'll do it for free because I'm here anyways. But I would rather not. And he was like, no, I can't do that to you. I need to pay you. I was like, all right, so come on, stop talking to me then. Why are you talking? Why are you yapping? There was so much unnecessary propaganda being sold to us. They were always trying to use like scare tactics to get us to do exactly what they wanted us to do. So in the evenings, the children have 1 hour and a half, I think, for shower time. Can you please tell me why the Tooth Fairy himself, during the induction weekend, tried to convince us that shower time was nearly on par to shower time at Guantanamo Bay? He tried to convince us that in shower time, children could literally die, have their throat slit, run away. Basically the worst of the worst. He was like, shower time is the most important hour of your lives. You need to make sure you're looking after those children. You need to make sure you're on job, but you're not allowed in the cabin. So you need to be sitting outside the cabins, and every 5 minutes, go knock on their doors and make sure that they're doing the right thing. When I tell you, in the 2 weeks that I was on that camp, nothing ever happened at shower time. It was just propaganda. They were always doing this. They were always, if they wanted to make sure that, especially the volunteers, were doing what they had to do, they would just try to like push fear into the equation. And it was just so dumb, because someone with like a frontal lobe cortex saw right through it, but other people would just be like, oh my gosh, I can't let the children die during shower time. It was ridiculous. But that was just like one tiny example that I just remembered, because literally a couple days in, we all kind of realized like nothing happens during shower time. The kids are just like, they follow like a routine. Like I would say to my kids, I had 8 girls in my first week. I had a cabin of 8 girls. They were, I think, in year 6. And they were so lovely, so sweet. You know, I would like literally put a list of girls to go into the shower like at a certain time. I'd be like, okay, Maria, you first, Jessie, you second, da 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 da. And it just went really smooth. You know, I would every 5 minutes go knock on the door, just make sure they're all okay, make sure everyone's just kind of taking their turn to shower. And that was pretty much it. Like, it was so simple. But this was just propaganda they were just trying to sell. It was so ridiculous. During the day as a camp monitor, the kids would have different activities. So the activities would run pretty much from like 9 o'clock, or is it 10 a.m. because they would like, you know, get up, go for breakfast. We as camp monitors did everything. We ran activities. We looked after them, looked after the kids, and served food, breakfast, lunch and dinner. We gave the children medicine. We literally were the ones responsible for their medication, woke them up and put them to sleep. There wasn't anything. There was no other external agencies that came and helped. We did everything. The activities that would run, there were games, there were big activities like kayaking and rock climbing. To be fair, rock climbing was done by one professional who was high all the time. By the way, something about this camp, literally everyone who worked on the campsite was high all the time. All of them high all the time, because weed in Spain is delegalized. So مصدقوا يعني them man were in the stars all the time. Okay, and listen, I'm not judging. You do what you want, but when you're looking after children, you need to come correct. Can you please explain to me why in one of our meetings, Tooth Fairy and Smelly Cat basically said to us, if you don't run a camp at least once on a hangover, then you're not a real camp monitor. Excuse me, are you trying to convince me that I have to be hungover? I have to have substances coursing through my veins to be considered a real monitor? Suck yourself dry. I just couldn't believe that again, more propaganda. Imagine sending your child to a camp and the person running the rock climbing is rossing it in the bushes just before he's about to like fling your kid into space. Crazy. There was also kayaking. That was ran by a professional again as well. But I would be having a group of like 20 to 25 children, and there's one professional and then there's you. By the way, they offered us no training for kayaking. All they did, because when I arrived, I was like, I have no idea how to kayak, and you want me to look after children kayaking? You're on drugs. They were like, oh, well, if you want, you can jump on a kayak now while the professional is still here. He can show you what to do. So I was like, bet. There was only me and 2 other girls who did that. And we did a bit of kayaking on our first day just to kind of get into the mood, because apparently I'm going to be looking after like 30 kids doing this at a time, but sure. I think at one point, one kid did fall into the water. A kid fell into the water and said to one of the other English volunteers, help me, I don't want to die. That girl spent the whole day crying. She was like, a kid just told me they were going to die. Yeah. Okay. So, like I said, we were in charge. We were also doing archery with real spikes. We did archery with real spikes. Me, a girl who's never done archery in her life, is now running an archery course for these children. Again, no training was given. How insane is that? The day would run from like 10 a.m, different activities every like hour or two, and they would just like, it's on rotation, and you just kind of get used to it. Now, again, in week 1, right, Tooth Fairy was up my butthole. He loved me off. He literally would go around telling everyone, Chrissy is the best Chrissy is the best monitor. Chrissy is the best. Chrissy is number 1. Chrissy. To the point where people would come to me like, that man is in love with you. That man wants you. And I'm like, yo, I only date men with teeth. Don't be rude. I'm so sorry. God forgive me. Sorry, the sun is going away. So if you see the lighting changes because the sun is moving mad. So Tooth Fairy was moving mad. But do you know what? I don't care. As long as I get what I want, I'm gassed. And I did, because I knew how much he loved me. Don't think I wasn't playing the game. I'd be like, Tooth Fairy, I need a backpack because I don't have one. Guess what Tooth Fairy would do? He'd go get me a backpack. And he wouldn't tell anyone, because everyone else started asking for backpacks. And he was like, no, we don't have. Oh, Chrissy, where did you get that from? I have no idea. Wink. But I got what I wanted. Okay? I would be able to do little things that other people couldn't because I had the clout. And I played on the clout. I'm telling you the truth. It's just what I did. Now you have a understanding of how long our days were. You're going to ask me, when was your break time? You had just under 30 minutes to eat your lunch and dinner. You had 1 hour in the day to take a break. Now, every day it would change. Sometimes you would get your hour between 3 and 4. And some days you would get it between 7 and 8. And it was so inconvenient because who wants to take an everything shower at 4 p.m.? 4 p.m, like that's butt crack middle in the middle of a whole day. Like, I don't want to be taking a shower and then start sweating and stinking and for the rest of the day. Like, do you know how inconvenient that is? But okay, cool, moving on. So you get that hour to literally do whatever you want. Shower, do this, do that. And it was honestly never an hour because activities would run over, other people's breaks would run over. So a lot of the time you're really just getting 45 minutes, maybe less sometimes, I don't know. Whenever you try to voice these concerns, they were always dismissed. They were always disregarded. They were just never taken seriously, okay? Because when it came to us, when it came to our needs, they were dismissed. But when it came to anything else on the camp, that was priority number 1. For example, these children would come with teachers. So it's a school, let's say it's a year group from a school that would come, and they would bring around, 2 or 3 teachers. We were told that these teachers were on par to King Charles II. They are on par with him. So when you see King Charles and you bow down on the ground, you have to do the same thing when you see the teachers, because the teachers are the ones who pay our rent. The teachers, my friends, would be sitting in the cool, nice restaurant, living their best lives, AC, Wi-Fi, everything, living their best lives. So we are looking after all their kids. When the teachers apparently walk into a room of activities, you're not allowed to sit down. You have to be standing like a soldier because obviously royalty is walking in the room. You're not allowed to be on your phone. You're not allowed to be no, nothing. Insanity. They cared more for the teachers than they did about us. They literally said, if you want to sit down, if you want to go on your phone, do what you want, but not in front of the teachers. Okay, so sorry, I forgot. Are you teachers or are you Ofsted? I'm confused. Moving on. Another really crazy thing that the cult did to us is every single day, we would have an end of day meeting. Now on the timetable, it is said that the children are asleep and done and dusted by 11 p.m. That was never the case. It was always around 12 a.m. Because a lot of the time, the activities wouldn't finish till 11 p.m. They would always push the activities until 11 p.m. Okay? Because who cares about our sleep? Who cares about actually keeping law and order? They just want the kids to have so much fun. The kids are having so much fun. When you're doing a bloody game till 11 p.m. and children are running around a campsite, of course now they don't want to go to sleep. Of course now it's taking over an hour to calm these children down and put them to sleep. Bear in mind, the age ranges from our schools were ranging from about 11 years old to 16. We had the brunt of the litter sometimes, you know? So there were so many problematic kids. I myself never had really any problematic kids. Or maybe it's just because I know how to control children. I don't know. But a lot of the volunteers were struggling. I would really have my cabin in and put to sleep within like 20 minutes, you know? A lot of other volunteers were struggling, and that's not their fault. Like a lot of them I previously mentioned were 19 years old, 20 years old, 22 years old. A lot of them had never had a job in their lives. A lot of them were in uni. A lot of them have never even dealt with children before. So this was really hard work you're expecting of them, right? I actually think I'm going to make this a 2-part episode because this is such a long story. It's going to have to be 2 parts. So for now, let's wrap this up. And if you want to hear more, come back for the next episode where I'm going to tell you the rest of this crazy cult situation. I hope you've been entertained thus far. This is part 1. Come back for part 2. All my social media handles will be in the description below. Thank you so much for watching or listening. Come back for part 2.